What is happening, Blades? And welcome back to the Blades Ramble. We are, of course, sponsored by Action Coach Sheffield. If you are a growing business and you want to continue that growth, they are the people to speak to. And first thing I want to say is, don't judge me. Don't judge me for this. If you want to take it up with Mrs. Ramble, you're a braver person than me. The path of least resistance is the one I choose. So, for now, this is the warm-up, and yeah, there's a bit to talk about today. Thank you, first of all, for the fantastic feedback we've received from our Survival Rivals special. Really enjoyed it. It's had some fantastic feedback. Yeah, it's somewhat quite different for the channel, but really enjoyable. Really enjoyable. Nice to hear other fans' perspectives on it. Nice to know that other people are in a similar boat to us. So Sky Sports have recently interviewed Hecky about the 10-point deduction to Everton. He quite rightly and obviously said that, look, if other teams have been cheating other than just Everton, then they need to be sanctioned as well. The cynics amongst us will say that that is purely the view of a team that's in the relegation zone and wants more teams to be pulled closer towards them. I think there's clearly an element that we want other teams being docked will be better than us, but it's also the right thing to do. We are operating on a sustainable model for our club. We know that, and we've been hindered because of that. Our transfer business has not been significant in terms of net spend. We know that, and that's because we're trying to do things properly. And it's a self-preservation model. It's not because it's the right thing to do. It's because we don't want to be in the mire as a club, being in loads and loads of debt. It's not like, oh, look at us, we've done a great job. It's because we've chosen to do that. It's more a case of those that have potentially overstepped their financial muscle, largely around like City and Chelsea. They're the two main big hitters that have been mentioned. But I mean, listen, I know people think I've got a vendetta against Forest, and a lot of us have as Blades, but they've spent an awful lot of money, very irresponsibly as well. And I'll be interested to know how close they sail towards financial fair play breaches. So I would love it if they get dragged into it. But listen, I don't want Sheffield United to stay up on a technicality. Having said that, if we do stay up on a technicality, I'm going to take it. I don't think Everton will be involved come the end of the season. I think their punishment will either be, as I said last time, either be lowered, or I think they will just have enough to get out of it. So I'm not hanging my hat on Everton being involved. I think it's a league of four at the moment. But we'll see. We'll see how that pans out. Another big thing on people's lips at the moment is contracts. We're a little bit squeaky about contracts, and we have been at this club for some time, really. Obviously, we had the Illiman and the Sander issue. We've now got players out of contract. Danielle's released an article that says I think there's about 18 players in total. I made it close to 20. I've got a ramble coming out about this, so I'm not going to go into too much detail here, but it's players like George Baldock, who, yes, we know he loves the club. We know that in an ideal world he'd want to stay, but Danny revealed in his article, and I'd heard the same, he's had offers from the top Greek league, and he's got his international career to think about. So why would he sign for United when he doesn't know what division we're going to be in next season? He don't want to be playing in Championship when he's pushing 31. He wants to be playing in Champions League, essentially, in Greece, if he can be, or the Premier League with Sheffield United. So can't help but think it's been a bit naive of the club and a bit short-sighted to not get him tied down earlier, maybe in the summer just gone, when, you know, we know he's got a year left. There's players that are coming out of contracts that we know have got another year. And again, I'll go into that more when I do the ramble on the contracts, because I think it's something we can dedicate quite a bit of time to that, to be honest. Another interesting article that came out, this time from the BBC, I think it was, on injuries. And this is something that surprised me a little bit. I didn't realise, admittedly, that there were a lot of teams that were struggling with injuries this season. I know one or two have. Crystal Palace stick out to me as being significantly weakened by injuries. We complain that we are massively up there. A lot of people blaming Eki, me included. I've blamed Eki in the past for this, and I'm not saying Eki doesn't have a part to play in this, but it's only right that I give the other side of the argument when there's another thing out there that disputes it being Eki. So this article states that over the first 3 months of the season, there's been 196 injuries to players in the Premier League. It's a huge increase on years gone by across the board for all clubs. And there's a league table that shows which clubs are worst affected. And while we're up there, we're not the worst affected. So Man United are up there, Newcastle with 14 each. They are the most affected. Then there's Palace, Forest and Sheffield United with 13. So the thing that I have to say is obviously teams like Man United and Newcastle can still go well in the Premier League with a significant injury list. Once Sheffield United lose our first 11 or significant players in our first 11, we are really struggling. We have not got the depth to cope with the injury crisis. So whilst it may not be something that's solely attributed to the manager, we are still significantly weaker because of those injuries than other teams. A little bit complex to get your head round, but it's a good article. I'd encourage you to go and read it. And it's a bit of an eye-opener, really. So on X20 Legend, So Rare, whose account I didn't know of before this, but I saw it circulated online. I've been doing a deep dive into every team's start to the season, essentially. And Sheffield United came up and pulled up what I thought were some quite surprising results. They've rightly said that tightening up in defence has been the base of where our resilience has come from in the last 2 games, trying to shut out crosses. It's finally starting to click, and let's hope that is the case. It gets a bit data-driven and a bit statty, but it talks about XG, and Gus Hamer's 2 goals have come from an XG, a total XG across the season of 1.38. So they're saying that Hamer could well be the spark that we need, which doesn't surprise many. He probably hasn't passed the eye test, really, and I still don't think we're playing him to his full potential. But when we need him, he has stepped up at times this season. For the McBurney doubters out there, he's had a higher XG, so a higher expected goals return than Gus Hamer, but McBurney's only got the 1 goal. And people will point to that as McBurney not being clinical enough as what was our main striker for so long. But it's Cam Archer who stands out with 2 goals from much less likely chances. I'm pretty sure, and it's not on this one, but I saw a stat that his goal against Wolves was 0.03 XG, which is like a very, very, very minimal chance of scoring. I may have got that wrong. I may have just seen it randomly, but basically the stat guys are predicting that our survival hopes are pinned on keeping Gus Hamer fit and creating chances for Cameron Archer, something that we've been saying on the Ramble and in the pub, and whenever we've all been talking about it. I think Archer has shown those glimpses of why we were so keen for him to come to the club. We all knew that Gus Hamer was a brilliant player in the Championship for Coventry. And if we can get the best out of those 2 players, we've got every chance. The stats aren't so favourable in terms of the games currently played this season, which the results obviously demonstrate, but we have been second best in every game. Bar the Wolves game, we have been statistically second best in every game. But it feels like we're turning a corner. It feels like the tide is turning for United. And I can never overestimate what confidence does for players, particularly players who aren't as gifted as potentially their opponents. So I would say that on paper, Bournemouth have got a stronger squad than us, and they should have. They've been in the Premier League and established a lot longer than Sheffield United have. They've also had back-to-back wins at home. So they have fully turned this around, and they go into the game with more momentum than us, beating a Newcastle team that absolutely hammered us. Don't get me wrong, it was a significantly weakened Newcastle team. You know, you can't deny that Bournemouth have also looked like they've turned a corner. This game on Saturday, I don't mean to over-egg a game or make anybody unnecessarily nervous, but this is the game of our season. This game will define our season, because if we lose this game, we potentially get sealed in. We get sealed in into the relegation zone. Bournemouth are on 9 points currently. We're on 5. They move up to 12. 7 points gap. It soon starts to look insurmountable. If we win, which we have every chance of doing, if we win this game, we're within a point of safety going to Burnley, who are the worst performing team in the league. And it will not be easy against Burnley, and I'm not looking past Bournemouth. We can do this. It's not a huge stretch to think that Sheffield United can come out of these 2 games with 6 points. it's also not a stretch to see us coming out with none or 1 point because of the way the season's gone so far. But the way we've got to think about it is Bournemouth will see this as a winnable game. And in fact, let's hear from a Bournemouth fan right now who can tell us just exactly how they're feeling about it.
Hi Jimmy, thank you so much for inviting us on your channel to give a preview ahead of a big game at Bramall Lane this weekend. The Bournemouth perspective, I'm Kirk from Cherries Red Army, very much looking forward to it. I will be up north for this fixture. Previously came in the Championship, it was 0-0. Mark Travers made a fantastic save from Morgan Gibbs-White. We're yet to beat you in the Premier League at Bramall Lane. Yet to beat you in the Premier League, actually. I think it was 1-1 at home on the opening day. So this fixture is very interesting because we're 16th, you're 18th, and we come into this fixture off the back of 2 wins in 3 and a very, very good performance against Newcastle. Kept a clean sheet. We had the joint most shots on target in that game week, and we scored 2 very, very good goals. It could have been 4-5 against the Magpies, but it was a really, really good performance. It was the most complete performance we've been waiting for under Andoni Iraola, and it feels like something's really starting to get going. And that's considering that we've got no Alex Scott, £25 million worth of injuries there, and also Tyler Adams is injured and he cost us a fair bit as well. So I do fancy us this weekend, and I do feel like there's a chance to get our first Premier League away win. But Sheffield United are also in a little bit of form. You've got a win and a draw. You've got that win against Wolves very late on to sort of tick that one off, that you've finally got over the line and got a win in the Premier League this season. And I feel like it's not going to be easy. And I think that if we do struggle, or it is a tough game, it's going to be on heart from the Sheffield United fans and the team. And you might play a little bit on that. You have got some good players in your side. I know that Hamer done very well in the Championship. Archer might be a bit of a handful. So it's going to be an interesting fixture, because if we win this, we can really start to climb the table a bit. We had real ambitions of trying to finish 12th, 13th at the start of the season. At the moment, just not getting relegated and building on our current foundations for vision, philosophy and everything we're trying to do off the pitch. But we can pull away a bit, and by beating the Blades, we can also sort of cement your place below the dotted line, and a gap potentially starts to open. So it's a big game for you. It's a big game for us. I don't think either team really wants to lose. Clearly not. But it is a big loss if you do lose. A draw, I'm not sure what that does. So an interesting game. Looking forward to it. I really enjoyed the last time we came down. I think it's a really good stadium to play in. And I just hope we have a cracking game. I think there'll be goals. I'm hoping we get another 2 or 3. So I'm going for... very, very confident. I'm one on the road yet. It's coming this Saturday, in my opinion. It's going to be Bournemouth 3, Sheffield United 1. It's a bit of a favourite scoreline for us that never came in last season. So going for it. Maybe Saturday is the day that comes in. But thank you so much for asking us on the channel. I know we've collaborated a bit as well with John Sparks. So love all of that. Wish you all the best for the rest of the season after Saturday. Let's have a good game, and thank you very much.
So that's what they're thinking. And from my perspective, my view is Bournemouth will think this is a great opportunity for us to extend the gap, pull ourselves away from trouble, and that is a huge incentive for them. We are desperate. We are desperate to beat Bournemouth. And I think that desperation, rather than what is an opportunity to pull away, I think the desperation will potentially see us home here. The fact that we're at Bramall Lane, and the fact that we, the fans, will play such a huge part in the game, I am so excited. If we were going to Bournemouth, I wouldn't be as confident. At Bramall Lane, I fancy us to beat anybody in bottom half when our mind is right. When our heads are in the game, and I think the players will be up for this. We've got to remember as well, Anel is back fit again. McBurney is back fit again. Both of those are rumours at the minute. We haven't had his press conference as I record. So I'm assuming that those two are available. So it's a difficult one this time. But I'm going to ask you anyway, what's your team? Tricky one, really tricky, because I mean, the goalkeeper picks himself. It's Wes, isn't it, all day long.
League One, Wes. Are we crazy?
I'm still not convinced by Wes, but we're sticking with this positive mindset, and it's a case of which is the best team for us to go and get 3 points at the weekend. Anel is fit again. I think Anel Ahmedhodzic's best position is in the middle of a back three. I'm not playing him there because I think Jack Robinson has done absolutely nothing wrong, and he's one of the surprises of the season, really, for me, in terms of how well he's played. And I have to give him his flowers for that. So my back three, on the right, it's Anel. In the middle, it's Jack Robinson. And on the left, it's Austin Trusty. And I'm going with Georgie Baldock back out at right wing back. And I'm going with Luke Thomas as my left wing back. I know Max Lowe's fit again, but I think Luke Thomas has looked a little bit better in these last few games. Luke Thomas keeps his place for me. The midfield is difficult because you've got McAtee, who offers that attacking threat. And I can see him potentially going with McAtee at some stage. And this is my team, and I understand that. But I also have to think about the balance of my team. I'm a huge Gus Hamer fan. I can't not play Gus Hamer. Vinny Souza needs to up his game, and I want to see improvement from Vinny Souza. I would prefer to play McAtee over Norwood, but for balance, I'm going with Norwood, who, yes, he can be poor at times, but on his day can be absolutely outstanding, particularly in big games. So I'm going with Norwood to dictate the play, Vinny Souza to be our destroyer in midfield. And I think we do need to be a bit more defensively solid in the middle. And then I've Gus Hamer with a little bit more freedom to go forward. I'm having McAtee ready to come off the bench, or if McBurney can't last the 90 minutes, because I've got McBurney up top supporting Cameron Archer, who's going to be sitting on the last man, like we talk about a lot. Archer needs to be the furthest Sheffield United player up the field, in the box. Whenever we can get him in the box, get Cam Archer in the box and get the ball to his feet. That is my team. I want to know your team as well, because it's not an easy one to pick this time. With the two players coming back in, I think Bogle hasn't been consistent enough. I understand why some people would want to include him at some stage. I don't see where he fits in when Baldock is our best right wing back, and I don't see where Bogle fits in. I know people want to try him in midfield. I think some will want McAtee to play because he's in red-hot form for the country as well. If you're going to play McAtee and we've got two strikers on, then I think you'd have to drop Gus Hamer. And I don't want to drop Gus Hamer. I think Gus Hamer is our player. On 60 minutes, with McBurney mouth breathing, it'll be good to see James McAtee come on and drop off a little bit, but then run at defenders for the last half an hour. I could go a few different ways with it, if I'm honest. If you like what we do and you're not already, please do subscribe to The Ramble. If you haven't seen our Survival Rivals special, then please do go find it, because it's absolutely, I'm very proud of it, and I think it's something we'll look to do a bit more of in the future. However you're watching the game on Saturday, whether you're there, whether you're cheering from afar, sing loud and proud, and we can do this. Imagine the position we could be in at 6 o'clock Saturday night. So let's give it everything you've got, Blades men. We believe in you. We're all on side. We're all on the same page, aren't we, Blades? We're all on the same page this time. Come on, you red and white wizards. Up the Blades. Ramble on.